enter the realm where literary titans clash, where the creator of Middle-earth meets the House of Mouse. In this exploration, we delve into the enigmatic depths of J.R.R. Tolkien's disdain for Disney. Beyond a mere surface-level feud, Tolkien's antipathy towards Disney reveals profound philosophical differences and underscores a deeper critique of storytelling itself. As we embark on this journey, we invite you to journey with us to the conclusion where the intricacies of Tolkien's aversion to Disney are unveiled, revealing insights that resonate far beyond the realms of fantasy and into the heart of cultural discourse. J.R.R. Tolkien, the acclaimed author of The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings trilogy, harbored a little-known antipathy toward Walt Disney and his works. Despite Tolkien's literary prominence, this animosity towards Disney remains a curious footnote in literary history. In this extensive analysis, we delve into the roots of Tolkien's aversion towards Disney, examining his letters, essays, and the cultural context of his time to unravel the complexities behind this clash of creative titans. Tolkien's distaste for Disney became evident as early as May 13, 1937, when he penned a letter discussing the illustrations for the American edition of The Hobbit. In this correspondence, he adamantly opposed any affiliation with Disney Studios. It's worth noting that this sentiment arose prior to the release of Disney's Snow White in the same year, dispelling the misconception that Tolkien's aversion was solely a reaction to this particular film. Rather, his disdain for Disney's animation stemmed from fundamental differences in their approaches to storytelling and their treatment of children's intellectual capacities, themes that resonated deeply with Tolkien and were recurrent in his essay on fairy stories. At the core of Tolkien's critique lay his profound appreciation for storytelling as a craft and his belief in the importance of treating children as capable thinkers. In On Fairy Stories, he articulated his view that fairy tales possess a profound depth and complexity, capable of engaging both children and adults on multiple levels. He saw these tales not merely as vehicles for entertainment, but as repositories of wisdom and insight into the human condition. For Tolkien, a good fairy tale respects the intelligence of its audience and challenges them to grapple with moral and existential questions. In particular, Tolkien may have been troubled by the ways in which Disney's adaptations tended to sanitize and sentimentalize darker or more complex elements of traditional fairy tales. While Tolkien recognized the importance of fantasy as a means of escape and consolation, he also believed that it should not shy away from the harsh realities of life. Fairy tales, in his view, should not shield children from the complexities of the world, but rather help them navigate and make sense of its ambiguities and challenges. Moreover, Tolkien likely bristled at Disney's propensity for merchandising and commodifying fairy tales, reducing them to mere commodities to be bought and sold. To Tolkien, the true value of a fairy tale lay not in its marketability, but in its ability to spark the imagination and provoke deep reflection. By reducing these tales to consumer products, Disney risked cheapening their significance and robbing them of their transformative power. In light of these concerns, it is perhaps unsurprising that Tolkien was wary of any association with Disney Studios. He feared that such a partnership would compromise the integrity of his own work, reducing it to a mere commodity to be exploited for profit. For Tolkien, The Hobbit was more than just a children's story. It was a work of art, imbued with profound meaning and significance. To see it reduced to a mere product of the Disney machine would have been deeply distressing to him. Ultimately, Tolkien's disdain for Disney can be seen as a reflection of his deep-seated convictions about the nature and purpose of storytelling. For him, fairy tales were not simply a form of entertainment, but a means of exploring the deepest truths of human existence. By contrast, Disney's approach to fairy tales represented everything Tolkien opposed: commercialism, sentimentality, and a disregard for the intelligence of the audience. It is this fundamental clash of values that underpinned Tolkien's enduring skepticism towards Disney and its adaptations of classic fairy tales. Tolkien's criticism of Disney was underscored by his analysis of the studio's adaptation of Little Red Riding Hood, in 1922. This particular film, in Tolkien's eyes, epitomized the trend of transforming folklore into commodities for profit. He observed Disney's penchant for altering narratives and making aesthetic choices that, in his opinion, stripped fairy tales of their intrinsic value, reducing them to mere vehicles for entertainment without retaining their original depth and significance. For Tolkien, the adaptation of Little Red Riding Hood by Disney represented a departure from the essence of the original tale. He believed that Disney's alterations and aesthetic decisions betrayed the timeless wisdom and complexity inherent in fairy tales, effectively commodifying them for commercial gain. In Tolkien's view, this approach devalued the profound cultural heritage embedded within these stories, transforming them into mass-produced products aimed solely at entertaining audiences rather than challenging them to contemplate deeper themes. In contrast to Disney's approach, Tolkien's own literary works, particularly The Hobbit, were imbued with a maturity that transcended conventional age demographics. He crafted narratives that invited readers of all ages to engage with complex ideas while maintaining a sense of wonder and joy. For Tolkien, storytelling was not merely a form of escapism or entertainment, but a means of exploring the depths of human experience and wisdom. The Hobbit, in particular, exemplified Tolkien's belief in the enduring power of fairy tales to resonate with audiences on multiple levels. Through his richly imagined world and vivid characters, Tolkien challenged readers to confront moral dilemmas, grapple with existential questions, and ultimately find meaning and purpose in their own lives. Unlike Disney's adaptations, which often simplified and sanitized traditional tales, Tolkien's approach honored the complexity and ambiguity of the human condition, inviting readers to embark on a journey of self-discovery and enlightenment. In Tolkien's eyes, the success of The Hobbit lay not in its ability to cater to the lowest common denominator or generate maximum profit, but in its capacity to inspire and uplift readers, regardless of their age or background. He believed that fairy tales possessed a universal appeal precisely because they spoke to the deepest truths of the human soul, offering solace, wisdom, and hope in a world fraught with uncertainty and turmoil. Moreover, Tolkien's disdain for Disney's commodification of folklore was rooted in his broader critique of modern consumer culture. He saw Disney's adaptations as symptomatic of a larger trend toward the commercialization and trivialization of art and literature, where profit margins took precedence over artistic integrity and cultural heritage. In Tolkien's view, this trend threatened to erode the very foundations of civilization, undermining the moral and spiritual values that sustained human society. In summary, Tolkien's critique of Disney's adaptation of Little Red Riding Hood and his broader skepticism towards the studio's approach to fairy tales reflected his deep-seated convictions about the nature and purpose of storytelling. For Tolkien, fairy tales were not disposable commodities to be exploited for profit, but timeless works of art that spoke to the deepest longings and aspirations of the human spirit. Through his own literary endeavors, Tolkien sought to uphold the integrity and dignity of the fairy tale tradition, challenging readers to embark on a journey of self-discovery and enlightenment that transcended the limitations of time and space. Tolkien's resistance to Disney's reinterpretations of traditional tales stemmed from his steadfast commitment to preserving the authenticity and depth of these stories. As a scholar deeply immersed in the study of myths and folklore, Tolkien held a profound reverence for the cultural heritage embedded within these narratives. They were not just tales to him, they were integral to his identity and academic pursuits. Disney's adaptations, characterized by their simplification and caricatured portrayals, stood in stark contrast to Tolkien's vision of these stories. Rather than treating myths and folklore with the respect and complexity they deserved, Disney often presented them as shallow caricatures designed primarily for entertainment. This approach struck a dissonant chord with Tolkien, who believed that these tales held profound truths and insights into the human condition. One example that particularly resonated with Tolkien was Disney's portrayal of the dwarfs in Snow White. Instead of depicting them as nuanced and multifaceted characters, Disney reduced them to one-dimensional stereotypes, stripping away the depth and complexity that Tolkien believed were essential to their portrayal. For Tolkien, the dwarfs were not simply stock characters, they were symbolic representations of timeless archetypes, each with their own unique personalities and histories. Moreover, Tolkien's traditionalist inclinations further fueled his opposition to Disney's reinterpretations. He saw himself as a custodian of the oral tradition, tasked with preserving the authenticity of these stories for future generations. To Tolkien, myths and folklore were not static artifacts to be manipulated for commercial gain. They were living, breathing expressions of the collective wisdom and imagination of humanity. Disney's approach to storytelling, driven by commercial interests and mass appeal, represented everything Tolkien opposed. Rather than honoring the integrity of the source material, Disney often sacrificed depth and nuance in favor of broad accessibility and marketability. This tendency to oversimplify and commodify traditional tales struck at the heart of Tolkien's convictions about the importance of preserving cultural heritage and intellectual integrity. In Tolkien's view, the power of myths and folklore lay in their ability to resonate with audiences on a profound level, transcending the boundaries of time and culture. By reducing these stories to mere commodities for mass consumption, Disney risked robbing them of their transformative power and relegating them to the realm of disposable entertainment. Ultimately, Tolkien's resistance to Disney's reinterpretations was not just a matter of personal preference, it was a reflection of his broader concerns about the direction of contemporary storytelling. As a scholar and storyteller, Tolkien believed in the importance of upholding the dignity and complexity of the narrative tradition. By challenging Disney's oversimplified and commercialized approach to myths and folklore, Tolkien sought to defend the timeless wisdom and beauty of these stories for generations to come. Tolkien's enduring aversion to Disney's cinematic ventures persisted despite the vast expanse of time and the formidable expansion of Disney's entertainment empire. His resistance remained resolute, even as the years advanced and Disney's influence continued to proliferate across the realms of popular culture. In the twilight of his life, Tolkien steadfastly rebuffed any suggestion of Disney adapting his literary masterpieces, citing fundamental disparities in their artistic visions and principles. Throughout his later years, Tolkien's stance against Disney's potential adaptations of his works remained unwavering. Despite the allure of potential collaborations and the considerable financial incentives that such ventures might offer, Tolkien remained steadfast in his refusal to compromise his artistic integrity for the sake of commercial gain. While discussions between Tolkien's publishers and representatives from Disney did indeed transpire, particularly regarding the prospect of an animated rendition of The Lord of the Rings, Tolkien himself stood as an impenetrable bulwark against such endeavors. For Tolkien, the prospect of Disney adapting his beloved tales was anathema. He saw in Disney's approach a fundamental misalignment with his own deeply held convictions about the nature and purpose of storytelling. Where Tolkien revered the profound depth and complexity of myths and folklore, Disney's adaptations often prioritized spectacle and sentimentality over substance and meaning. Tolkien feared that Disney's penchant for simplification and commercialization would dilute the richness and nuance of his narratives, reducing them to mere shadows of their former glory. Moreover, Tolkien harbored a deep-seated skepticism toward Disney's corporate ethos and its impact on the creative process. He viewed Disney's dominance within the entertainment industry as emblematic of a broader trend toward homogenization and commodification, where artistic expression was subordinated to the pursuit of profit. To Tolkien, The very essence of storytelling was at stake in the face of such commercial imperatives, and he refused to relinquish his cherished tales to the clutches of corporate machinery. The clash between Tolkien and Disney epitomized a larger conflict between artistic integrity and commercialization within the realm of storytelling. While Disney's adaptations often sought to cater to broad audiences and maximize financial returns, Tolkien remained steadfast in his commitment to crafting narratives of timeless depth and significance. For Tolkien, the true measure of a story's worth lay not in its box office receipts or merchandising opportunities, but in its ability to provoke thought, stir the imagination, and touch the depths of the human soul. In the end, Tolkien's staunch opposition to Disney's adaptations reflected his unwavering dedication to the principles of authenticity and integrity in storytelling. He saw in Disney's approach a threat to the very essence of myth and folklore, a reduction of ancient wisdom and timeless truths to mere commodities for mass consumption. By standing firm against the encroachment of Disney's cinematic empire, Tolkien sought to defend the sanctity of his literary legacy and preserve the integrity of his cherished tales for generations to come. Tolkien's unwavering stance against Disney's adaptations reveals a profound commitment to the integrity of storytelling and the reverence for cultural heritage. His criticisms of Disney's methods were not merely surface-level objections, but rather stemmed from a deeply ingrained belief in the sanctity of folklore and the responsibility of storytellers to uphold its integrity. Far from a mere clash of egos, Tolkien's rejection of Disney's approach represented a principled stand against the pervasive trend of commercialization and trivialization within the entertainment industry. Central to Tolkien's critique was his conviction that storytelling was not merely a form of entertainment, but a sacred duty entrusted to those who understood the profound significance of myth and folklore. He viewed these tales as repositories of ancient wisdom and timeless truths, deserving of reverence and respect. In Tolkien's eyes, Disney's adaptations often fell short of this standard, reducing rich and complex narratives to superficial spectacles designed to cater to mass audiences and maximize profits. For Tolkien, the legacy of myth and folklore was far too precious to be sacrificed on the altar of commercialism. He saw in Disney's approach a betrayal of the intrinsic value of these cultural treasures, a commodification that threatened to erode their profound significance and reduce them to mere shadows of their former selves. In resisting Disney's overtures, Tolkien sought to defend the integrity of his literary legacy and preserve the sanctity of the tales that had captivated generations of readers. Moreover, Tolkien's critique of Disney was grounded in a broader concern about the erosion of cultural heritage in an increasingly commercialized world. He feared that the relentless pursuit of profit would lead to the homogenization and commodification of storytelling, robbing future generations of the richness and diversity of traditional tales. By rejecting Disney's adaptations, Tolkien sought to sound a warning bell against the encroachment of corporate interests on the sacred realm of myth and folklore. Indeed, Tolkien's legacy endures as a powerful reminder of the enduring power of myth and the responsibility of storytellers to honor its richness and complexity. His refusal to compromise his artistic vision for the sake of commercial gain serves as a beacon of integrity in an industry often driven by profit margins and market trends. Through his timeless works, Tolkien continues to inspire generations of readers to delve into the depths of myth and folklore, to seek wisdom and truth in the stories of old. In the final analysis, Tolkien's criticisms of Disney are not merely a matter of personal preference or professional rivalry, but a principled defense of the integrity of storytelling itself. His refusal to allow his beloved tales to be co-opted by commercial interests speaks volumes about his unwavering commitment to the sanctity of cultural heritage and the enduring power of myth. In a world increasingly dominated by corporate agendas and market forces, Tolkien's legacy serves as a reminder of the importance of preserving the richness and complexity of traditional tales for future generations. In summary, Tolkien's opposition to Disney encapsulates a deeper philosophical discord regarding the fundamental nature of storytelling and its influence on our shared imagination. Through a thorough examination of Tolkien's works and situating them within the broader context of literary evolution, we uncover the profound implications of his criticism and its lasting pertinence in the ongoing dialogue concerning the interplay between art, commerce, and cultural values.